FX traders really came into crypto. That was kind of the origination from an institutional standpoint. Infrastructure and the pieces that need to be there for market structure are coming from the FX world. So if you're looking at the playbook of where crypto is heading, the easiest way to look at it is to look at FX. Pretty much all of these asset classes follow a very similar market structure. They'll follow kind of the same S-curve of where they're going. And when we think about gaps that may exist in institutional crypto, we look at what exists in FX that doesn't exist in crypto. So for example, one of the major things that exists in crypto today is they have siloed exchanges that do both custody, collateral, exchange, pre-trade, post-trade settlement. And if you look at FX, they've bifurcated or fragmented those different types of services. So for settlement, for example, you have CLS, right? You have a host of different FCMs and OMS providers, and then you have exchanges that kind of live on that edge. So those are all different kind of pockets and places that there's opportunities for crypto. And as people who come from the FX space, we're kind of wired to think about the world that way.
How is AI reshaping trade execution and operations?
It's very good at taking bespoke pieces of data and synthesizing it into meaningful elements that can actually be done by a human that needs to take care of that task. So I'll use one as kind of an example. If we think about operations or reconciliation, those are for forever, right, been primarily handled by someone picking up the phone and calling someone and then going through an entire audit trail of work. It's probably still going to require a human to pick up the phone and do those things, but now they can use AI tools to actually help them use that natural language to actually isolate the data that they need to actually accomplish the problem. I think in institutional crypto, you're seeing people still use this. They use Google Sheets, they use Telegram chats. These are all sorts of data that are needed to actually hash out a problem, but the cleanest way to be able to actually synthesize this bespoke, non-normalized data is actually using some of these AI models to take that data and be able to figure out what do I actually need to accomplish what I'm looking to do.
What role will tokenization play in bridging the gap between digital assets and traditional finance?
When I think of tokenization, I think it's obviously very hot right now for a bunch of different reasons, but at a very core level, when I think of tokenization, I think of collateral mobility. Right? So collateral mobility is how I'm able to buy here and sell there without having to wait for some of these time frequencies across everything from settlement to clearing to really just being able to receive some yield in that collateral as well throughout it. So that collateral mobility is key to the entire tokenization value proposition coming to fruition. When I think about tokenization generally, it kind of comes down to three sort of core elements, and it's sort of a stool. If you get rid of one, the whole thing kind of collapses. The first is the legal side. Is it reliable, right? Do you have a legal structure that people can really understand and rely on? The second is credibility. Is the custodian who's actually tokenizing or holding it actually credible enough that people are willing to trust them with that tokenization? And the third is it useful? Is it connected enough to the right venues, to the right parties, such that once I actually have this object, I can use it in a meaningful way to either replicate a process I already have or create a new one that is going to basically create some value in some way.
How can institutional adoption of crypto infrastructure evolve beyond the proof funding model?
Pre-funding, what that means at a very high level is that if I have 5 exchanges that I want to trade at, I need to post collateral at each one of those exchanges, right? And that's sort of a foreign concept in most of TradFi because you usually have either a central FCM or a central clearinghouse, or I have some type of agreement, some ISDA or something with my counterparties or with a third party that's going to basically novate that transaction. In institutional crypto, your counterparty is that exchange. The only other place this really exists in all of kind of TradFi is for retail, like Forex, FDMs. So when you think of that capital, large institutions are really struggling because it's basically trapped or dead capital. So if I want to buy here and sell there, I have to post collateral at both. What we're seeing now is a move away from that. Principally what Bridgeport does, which is that we connect exchanges with custodians, and we're able to basically, instead of funding each of those exchanges, you're able to post collateral at your custodian and allocate it to the different exchanges. And that allows you to basically digitally transfer where you're allocating your capital in real time, which goes back to the tokenization component. If you have high collateral mobility, you're going to see a higher velocity of daily turnover on these exchanges. You'll see much more capital efficiency. You can actually hold less capital overall. And you're also able to onboard into incremental exchanges much easier because you no longer have this major credit exposure to that exchange collapsing and basically that capital becoming debt capital.
How does Bridgeport's collaboration with Deutsche Bourse help your clients?
When we were talking to traders or exchanges or custodians, we were trying to kind of paint them the picture of how TradFi works, where there's in the middle, a very high single point of collateral and custody, and on the peripheral, on the edge, you had different exchanges. And these exchanges are specialized in meeting different types of customer needs. This is a step towards a place where we're no longer trying to convince people that it is, but are actually seeing custody and exchanges start to actually fit that TradFi model. This is one example. We have a few other custodians exchanges we're working with as well to really demonstrate how this idea that you can hold your collateral in a single well-trusted custodian like Deutsche Börse and actually allocate that out to the different exchanges.